Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 24th regular meeting of the Newtown Township Board of Supervisors. Spring is in the air. We've had a lot of beautiful days lately, and we might take that into account as we hold a moment of silence, as we customarily do have a moment of silence. So if you would join us. Thank you. Thank you. Now let us all pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Lewis, are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Item 11B1 is being removed from the agenda.
Okay, thank you. And there's no special actions this evening. That brings us to our first round of public comment. This will be comments from the public about things not on the agenda. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to minor approvals, and the Historic Architectural Review Board, otherwise known as HARB, is here tonight and represented by Bill Maurer.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, thank you. At the April 10th meeting of the Historic Architectural Review Board, we had one application for signage at the former Zoe's Kitchen location at Goodnoe Corner, and it was for Amma's South Indian Food. And the board voted unanimously to recommend approving the application as it was submitted.
So we would be, we would need a resolution, we would need
a motion, Mr. Chairman.
motion, yes.
It would be a motion if the board's of a mind to authorize the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness to Amma's South Indian Cuisine, subject to compliance with the HARB recommendations.
I have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the board? I know when it comes to paint color and other things, if HARB is backing it, then it's certainly appropriate for me.
Sounds good.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of issuing a certificate of appropriateness to Amma's Southern Indian Cuisine at 280 North Sycamore Street, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
After we reviewed that application, we had a long discussion regarding the inability to enforce the property maintenance codes, especially, the HARB oversees the historic district. We don't have a very large historic district in the township. And so, it becomes frustrating when we see things like the properties at the corner of Sycamore and Jefferson, and people pull me aside, pull other members of the board aside, and they're like, how can you let that happen? It's like, well, we don't really have anything to do. So I know there was a further conversation at the Planning Commission regarding the same thing. If I can don one of my other hats, I've learned recently that the Joint Historic Commission, which reviews demolition applications here in the township, our recommendations don't even really come to the board. It goes back to zoning, solicitor, maybe Micah, I don't know exactly, but I think that we should come up with a way that the sitting board should see all those recommendations, whether it's coming and presenting them at a meeting like we do with HARB. I don't know what the answer is, but we've recently lost 3 significantly historic properties in the township, and Yeah, it's frustrating maybe if the process was a little bit different, we could have saved, one or several of them, I don't know. So, something to consider. I appreciate your time.
Question?
Just go ahead, Mr. Clark.
I kind of know the building that you're talking about with paints peeling off and all that stuff. That is a historic building?
It's in the historic district.
Okay.
We'd like some uniformity of some level of maintenance with the properties within the historic district.
Is there anything unhealthy about this paint peeling off this building, and it's not neglect, that we can enforce some sort of code to have the owner paint the building? Mr. Solicitor?
Well, the township has not adopted the property maintenance code, the uniform, property maintenance code. So it would have to be by separate ordinance. This is something we would have to look into and try to dig for some detail on.
If and when we adopt this code, how quickly can we enforce it?
Upon the effective date of the code, we can start to enforce it.
Okay. Then we could institute a hefty fine if not followed. Fines
are prescribed by the second-class township code. Civil violations such as this would, might be criminal. Criminal is a maximum of $1,000 per violation. Civil is a maximum of $600 per violation after district justice determines that.
Gotcha. I'm asking about that building also, and I have the same answer that you have. Is like really our hands are tied.
And it's something that Harb specifically has been requesting of zoning since as far back as 2016, that buildings needed a paint job, so.
Do we have a liaison from the Board of Supervisors for Harb? Usually we do for...
You tell me. It will be me. Okay.
Oh. So I think that's where the communication has to happen, right? Probably. Thank you.
Kyle gets copied on all of my correspondence, so.
Okay.
And there might be other ways we could explore, maybe through the Planning Commission, get a recommendation of how we can proceed or how they'd like us to proceed. That's going to be probably a few meetings down the road, but that may be another way to proceed to be able to address
Yeah, definitely.
these situations. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope, that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. That brings us to reports of committees, boards, and commissions, and I have the Planning Commission next. Peggy Driscoll. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Peggy Driscoll, Chair of the Planning Commission, here to give you a synopsis of our April 15th meeting. The first item on our agenda was the Zoning Hearing Board application for Marcy and Caesar Primus at 65 Harmony Way. The applicants are seeking a 20-foot rear yard setback where 30 feet are required to extend their deck and install a staircase to the lower level backyard. The commission recommends that the supervisors take no position on this application. Next, we had a few JMZO amendments that we reviewed. The first was the numbers, section corrections, and maximum impervious surface corrections. These amendments have been reviewed at previous meetings. The committee voted that the supervisors vote to adopt the amendments. Next, we had the billboard ordinance. Action on this amendment is tabled until we have a report from our planner on the appropriate districts where billboards could be permitted and a report from Upper Makefield on its positions on billboards. Next, we had the wireless ordinance and the wireless design manual. We are awaiting comment from the expert counsel Cohen Law Firm on some changes suggested by Wrightstown Township before action is taken. Lastly, we had the electric charging stations. The commission voted to recommend that the Board of Supervisors adopt this amendment. Next, we had a subcommittee report. This is echoing what Bill just discussed from the Joint Historic Commission. Craig Deutsch, who's also a member of the Planning Commission, discussed the Historic Commission's ongoing concerns with demolition by neglect. Rejected demolition permits reviewed for borough properties are passed to Borough Council for consideration, but the township permits go directly to the zoning officer without any supervisor input. The Historic Commission would like to explore a method of enforcement for property maintenance rather than further deterioration of historic properties, not all of which are in our historic district. And that was all we had. Any questions?
Any questions for Peggy? And you say that there are not all the properties are located in the historic district, so they're all through the township?
Yeah, there are homes. This all came about when Toll Brothers came in for land development for their project down on Twining Bridge Road. There was a house back there, a Jacob Twining house, built in 1865. A lot of people, we didn't even know it was back there. It was pretty hidden back in the woods. And at the time, a few members of HARB, Bill and I, Jeff from the Heritage Conservatory, Jerry, and a couple other members, we walked through the house. And, you know, Craig is a historic architect and said that the house was salvageable. And we also had a toll rep with us when we walked through the house. And we discussed, you know, possibly rehabbing the house at the time that they were building their homes. We discussed, and they agreed at that time to put a tarp on the house. And nothing ever happened. And at our last meeting, Craig came in and said that the house was torn down. And it was a house that was occupied by Jacob Twining. It was, you know, there were a lot of Twining houses spread through the township.
I remember the same thing, a similar thing happened right at Delancey Court. Because that was such a wooded area, there was that historic building that sat in the back, which Toll Brothers was finally forced to move it, and now it sits up in front as like, I don't know, probably decoration. I don't know if it could be used for anything. But yeah, some of these homes are hidden, and we don't know they're being bulldozed until after the fact. So, I mean, I don't know if does HARB or any of the historic society go out to these places before they're developed and to see if there's something sitting back in the woods?
I don't know the answer to that, actually, but this one particular one, back on Twining Bridge, we did.
Good.
And Toll was agreeable to tarp, the first step was to tarp it, to protect it from any further damage, and then nothing.
Did they save anything
I
from the
don't think
property
so.
so they could,
I believe.
sometimes they can make a replica of it, but if they have if there's historic value, like a staircase or something that would.
You know, we went through the house, and it was, I mean, it was pretty
Did
beat up. but-
anyone take pictures to document?
Yes,
Jerry-
there were pictures taken,
Were the pictures taken?
yeah. And I believe that in the agreement with Toll, there was a line item in there to get rid of that building. Wasn't that true?
They agreed to, as far as I know, I don't remember all the details, but they agreed to put a tarp on the building, and then we would further discuss Toll Brothers rehabbing the house. And then it just kind of, you know, went away after that. I don't know how long ago they demolished it, but it's gone.
Well, it didn't just go away. It was part of an agreement that we had with Toll Brothers for the development, that building should be taken down.
Yeah, I believe it was. If anyone remembers, it was part of the agreement to demolish the house.
It's a shame, because it could have been saved.
All right, anything else?
Well, that was all we have. And the one thing I did want to mention, for the billboard ordinance, we would like to explore other locations for it. And I guess the township needs to approve our planner to do a little looking for us. Currently, it's permitted in the CC district, outdoor advertising. Okay.
We'll have the planner do her job with that.
As long as it's not on the bypass, please.
I hope not. Ms. Snyder prompted me to think there's actually two of these JMZO amendments that we could take action on based on your recommendations. The numbers, sections, corrections, and maximum impervious surface corrections, that one we could do, and the electric charging stations we can do. So we'll put those on a future agenda and try to get those out.
Okay. Anything else?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Reports of board members. My major item to report is that I attended the Planning Commission meeting, and we just had a very good report, so I don't need to say anything else. Madam Vice Chair.
Same.
Mr. Secretary Treasurer.
Ditto.
All right. Mr. Davis, Mr. Calabro? Okay. Let me get back in order here. We have a public hearing next. And I would ask Mr. Sander if he would lead us here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a public hearing that has been advertised on the application of FF Elabed, Inc. for the transfer of restaurant liquor license number R-19424 to premises located at 32 West Road in Newtown, PA. Mr. Taraskis is here representing the applicant. I will mark for admission as Board Exhibit Number 1, the cover letter of Mr. Taraskis dated March 5th, 2024, that encloses the application itself along with all of its exhibits. That will be Exhibit B1, and Exhibit B2 will be the proof of publication of notice of this evening's hearing that appeared twice, once on April 7th, 2024, and once on April 14th, 2024, in the advance of Bucks County. And those are the board exhibits for this hearing. It'd be appropriate to turn it over to Mr. Taraskis for his presentation.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Edward Taraskis. I represent FF Elabed, Inc., and also with my associate Joseph Silverstein here, my partner. And FF Elabed, Inc. filed an application for a intermunicipal transfer of a restaurant liquor license for use at the current FF Elabed's operating location, which is 32 West Road, Newtown, Pennsylvania. Now, FF Elabed's restaurant trades as Piccolo Trattoria and has been operating at the location for a span of 23 years. The liquor license in question is coming from Falls Township, and currently Newtown Township has 14 active restaurant liquor licenses, plus one in safekeeping, which is pending activation to Capitol Grill. My client recently enlarged its restaurant premises and changed to a full-service concept, which is offering brunch, lunch, and dinner 7 days per week, and they plan on doing a small catering facility with about 100 patrons, no more. I have with me Mr. Fahmy Elabed, the sole principal of FF Elabed, who will testify as to his operations.
Why don't we have Mr. Elabed sworn in, please? Can you handle that? Yeah, Madam Court Reporter, yes, thank you.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you are about to give
Mr. Elabed, are you the stockholder and president of FF Elabed, Inc.?
Yes, I am.
And is it your restaurant trading as Piccolo Trattoria?
Correct.
Is FF Elabed applying to Newtown Township for a intermunicipal transfer of PLCV restaurant liquor license number 19424 to be located at your present restaurant premises at 32 West Road,
Yes.
Newtown. Okay. Is the proposed location in a shopping center?
Correct.
Okay, now, did you look around to see if there was any licenses available?
Yes, I did.
And what was the outcome?
None.
All right. Is your restaurant currently in operation?
Yes.
All right. Now, why are you seeking to obtain a restaurant liquor license?
Just to make sure for my guests and so everybody have a good time over the weekend, that's all.
All right. Now, is your primary business the sale of food?
Correct.
Okay. Is this restaurant license to complement your food sales?
Correct.
Okay. Now, how long have you operated your restaurant at the present location?
23 years.
All right. Have there been any police incident during
Nope.
that time?
Nope.
All right. Have you recently expanded the restaurant?
Correct. Twice.
Twice? All right. I'm going to distribute a series of photographs.
We will note that the packet of photographs is pre-marked as exhibits 6-1, 6-2, and 6-3. The reason for that was because the applicant was under the impression that the exhibits that were attached to the original application would be 1 through 5. So he started with 6 for the photographs. So we will just leave them as such, as exhibits 6-1, 6-2, and 6-3 for reference.
Thank you. Mr. Elabed, I'm going to show you a series of 3 photographs.
Okay.
Can you describe what they are? Exhibit 6-1. What does that show?
6-1 shows three locations plus the outside patio.
Okay. Where is the original restaurant located?
Where the pizzeria sign is.
Okay. All right. Can you turn to exhibit 6-2?
Yes.
And what does exhibit 6-2 purport to show?
This is a dining room space.
And where is that located in the first photograph, 6-1?
So it'll be the new location, that'll be 34.
All right. Is that depicted in the,
I'm sorry, 30 West Road.
is that depicted in the photograph? And would that be the
Without
central?
without the sign, yes.
Without the sign, next to the outside dining, the
Outside
patio?
patio, yes.
Okay. And can you describe exhibit 6-3, that photograph? What does that purport to show?
That's the outside patio,
That's it's still under construction?
correct.
All right. Now, what is your proposed capacity, total capacity of patrons?
147.
All right, now, will there be?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the number.
147?
147.
Yeah,
That's the interior, is that correct?
correct, inside, yeah.
Okay, will there be a interior bar?
Inside, yes.
And how many seats will that bar contain?
Between 10 to 12 seats.
All right. And what about, so the balance of 135 patrons is for interior tables?
Correct.
All right. And you said that the outside patio is to accommodate how many patrons, would you say?
Close to, between 80 or more.
All right. Now, obviously, you have all the necessary Newtown Township permits?
Correct.
All right. And what is the square footage of the serving area inside the 2 locations?
So altogether with the 3 locations, 32, 34, and 30 would be 6,000 square foot.
Okay. And what about the patio?
1,800 square foot, I believe.
Okay. Now, the original square footage of your restaurant comprised of what?
Originally stored back in 2001 was 2,000 square foot.
Okay. You've grown a bit, huh? All right. Now, what is your proposed number of employees,
Hopefully, between,
full-time and part-time? Can you divide that?
so full-time will be about between 20, 25 people. For full-time, maybe 20 to 25 people. Part-time, between 15.
All right, now will you be hiring the
New town-
employees
yes,
locally?
Yes,
Okay. Now, you're going to have any kind of entertainment?
correct.
And what does that entertainment comprise of?
As we do now, we have live entertainment, we have music, for Sinatra night, any music.
And is it your intention to have any dancing, a dance floor?
Not that, no.
All right. What are your days of operation?
So from Sunday through Monday, 10:30 to 10 o'clock, Friday, Saturday till 11 o'clock.
11 p.m. you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Now, what kind of food will you be serving?
Italian, Mediterranean, American, fusion,
Now, will you be serving food whenever you're open and in operations?
correct,
Okay. Now, you're going to be serving brunch, lunch, and dinner, am I right?
correct.
And that will be until you cease, close at either 10 p.m. or 11 p.m.?
Correct.
Now, do you have any idea what your proposed ratio of food to alcohol would be?
I mean, probably 80% food, 20% alcohol.
Now, will sales of alcoholic beverages be used just to complement your food sales?
So, yeah, yes. I mean, it's mainly food.
Okay. Your primary business is food service, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, will there be any small percentage of takeout beer?
Probably between 1% to 3%, maybe.
Okay. Now, will FF Elabed take advantage of the Liquor Board's Responsible Alcohol Management Program?
Correct.
And that's where it's an educational program which all the employees must be certified.
RAM certified, correct.
Okay. And the ramp certification goes to sales to minors and sales to visibly intoxicated patrons. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, what kind of ID cards will you be accepting as proof of age?
ID license,
Like your photo license, driver's license?
yep.
All right. And finally, have any customers requested alcoholic beverages of you when they sit down?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, is that yeah?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right. All right, that concludes my presentation. If there's some questions.
One quick follow-up, Mr. Taraskis.
Yes.
I didn't get the food to alcohol ratio.
Oh, okay. The testimony was 80% food, 20% alcohol.
Thank you. At this time, it would be appropriate for board questions for the witness.
Why don't I start and then we'll pass it along? Where in the store will the bar be?
So, Mr. Ed, you gonna get a picture of that? So, it's gonna be,
In the new part?
it
Or?
would be on the 32 West Road.
All right.
It would be behind the, can we show them that picture?
Yeah. There is a diagram, Exhibit 3A, in the original packet,
Okay.
which would show where the bar would be.
Is it in the new section or,
So
Where is it?
it'll be on the 34th side.
okay. And
Which
that's
is the old section?
That's the old section,
The
34th
Piccolo
side.
Trattatoria
Yes.
side. Okay, got it. I'm fine with that. Talked about music. I know we've had discussions with folks who want to have music on the patio about not having, I mean, we've actually basically frowned upon that or forbidden that, having music outside. What are the plans for the music?
So basically, it'll be like live, I mean, like how we do it now, like it's inside. Basically, it could be live music, it could be, how can I say, a band or acousticals, it could be a violin, it could be a pianist, I mean, jazz, I mean, but it's nothing, I have no neighborhoods around me, so it's an open space.
Would it be acceptable to you that there be no music on the patio?
Every what?
That there be no music on the patio?
If there's no music in the bed?
On the outdoor
His
section?
question is, will it be acceptable to you if you did not have music on the patio? Would it be possible to have ambient music, background music on the patio?
I'm not sure we allow that.
Generally, we have disallowed that at other restaurants, like the Harvest Grill,
Okay.
for example, and the beer place, what was that?
I think
I'm sorry, Mr. Mack, say that again?
Iron Hill.
Iron Hill.
Other restaurants, we've prohibited outdoor speakers, basically including Starbucks,
I think
Harvest Grill.
Ardana, we had them take them down.
Ardana, all those have complied by not having any outdoor speakers. Now, your enclosure here seems a little bit less than outdoorsy. I don't know. I see a wall there, but it's all open space, right? But you have a roof over it,
Correct.
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't object with, certainly music inside, and if that music inside is audible in the patio,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a problem. I think speakers, having speakers on the patio.
Okay. Is there speakers, wait, I'm sorry, say that again? I didn't,
I would not object, I don't know about the rest of the board, to music that's inside spilling out and being audible
Okay.
in the patio.
okay.
But having speakers on the patio, I don't think we want that.
If I may follow up the question?
Yeah.
Will you have speakers on the outside patio?
Would I?
No, will you not have speakers on the outside patio? That's the question. Well, no, speakers, mounted speakers.
Yeah, I have speakers already. and,
No, you're
oh,
not gonna have speakers
okay.
on the outside area.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let me see. And I really like the idea of having I guess it's a requirement, but I really like the idea of having training for your employees around how to deal with folks who might be intoxicated or what have you. So that's a positive, so I thank you for that.
No, yes, absolutely. We're not, like I said, we're not gonna be a bar till 2 o'clock in the morning. We're not doing
Right.
that.
It's complimentary to the food.
Correct.
Who wants to go next, Mr. Mack?
Congratulations for being in business for 22 years.
Thank you, Mr. Mack.
So, no, you're not a very expensive restaurant, so I don't think it's a hardship for people to not be able to bring their own wine in and so on, so I don't have any problem with that. You said, though, you might have some takeout beer. How does that work? I'm not quite...
So, I mean, I'm not like Acme or, these big beer stores where they sell, I'm small. If somebody wants a pizza and a six-pack to go at convenience, they can have it. Like, we have that in Dolestown. But it's not a big percentage of beer. I don't do a lot of beer sales.
I mean, is that part of the general liquor license to allow?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And you have experience doing it in Doylestown?
I'm sorry?
And you have experience
Oh, yes.
with
Oh,
doing
yes.
that at
And I have my
beer
manager
sales
here
in
also, yes.
Doylestown? Okay, great. Good evening.
One other question. Did you say you had a Frank Sinatra night?
Yes.
When is that?
I'll let you know the next time. All right? We had it on Sunday. Yeah.
Anyone else? Questions?
So generally, we don't allow music on the patio, but, and this is not addressed to you, Harvest has folk music outside. Do we allow that?
I guess if there's no speakers, then that would be allowed. The only thing we disallow are having speakers and music played over the speakers outside. I know we had Starbucks take down their speakers, and
All I'm trying to say is that might be possible with, just acoustic, since Harvest has it, but no speakers.
Acoustics, that's
Okay.
what,
Is it-
yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
No, you won't have any speakers.
Okay.
Mr. Calabro, Mr. Davis? Anything? All right. Mr.
Any other board questions? At this point, it would be appropriate to open it up to, well, let me ask Mr. Taraskis, do you have any more witnesses?
No, this is the only.
Okay, that's it. Okay. It would be appropriate at this time to open it up to public comment. Is there anybody present in the room who wishes to make a comment related to this application? Sir,
Yes.
come on up to the microphone. Please identify yourself for the record, name and address.
John D. April, Newtown Grant, 118 Broadleaf Place. Besides the biggest and the best. I know Fami for 23 years since he opened this restaurant. It's my favorite Italian restaurant to sit down and eat. John says he's expensive. He's not expensive. He's
Oh, he said he was inexpensive.
inexpensive. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
He agrees
Sorry,
with you.
I didn't hear the end, the age, you know, the age. Any of you that haven't been there, you're missing out. You should go there. Like I said, try the chicken parm. It's the best chicken parm in the area. And talking to a guy that grew up in South Philadelphia, whose high school girlfriend was 2 doors away from Ralph's, the oldest Italian restaurant in the country. You know, his food is good. And as far as speakers on the patio, if you know where his restaurant is at and where the patio is at, it's right next to the grassy lot that Old Navy wanted to build on that you guys wouldn't let in. Probably the closest place where there's going to be people is in the daytime when they have the skate park open, because the Bed Bath & Beyond is closed, vacant building in Newtown, you know. But, yeah, you should allow this and anything else he wants. You gave him a hard time with the expansions. Pass this through. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment on this application? Seeing none, Mr. Chairman, it would be appropriate for the board to take action. I've prepared 2 resolutions for this matter, not knowing how the board was going to decide. One grants the application, the other denies the application. If the board is of a mind to grant the application, we would add to that resolution the condition that there be no speakers, no amplified music on the patio area. So I will leave it to the board to make the appropriate motion to adopt the appropriate resolution.
I'll second that motion to approve. Do we have any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the application of FFL Abed for the transfer of a restaurant liquor license to the 32 West Road location of Piccolo Trattoria, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries 5-0.
And with that, we will close the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Just as a housekeeping measure, I move the exhibits into evidence.
They will be
As part of the
accepted.
records. Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we close the hearing.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Engineer report. There are no agenda items, but does anybody have any questions for our engineer?
Yes, I previously emailed Dominic to ask him some questions about the Business Commons Sidewalk project.
Right.
Thanks for getting back to me on that. But is there any estimate when work on this may begin? Because it's been quite a while.
Yeah, we are in the process of finalizing the design for our permitting applications. And at that point, you know, we can start getting this ready to go out to bid for construction. There were some conversations with the township staff to work out some.
Excuse me, could you talk outside, please? Thank you.
Didn't this all go out to bid already? I thought there was a design, it went out for bid, it was awarded, or am I mistaken on that?
I believe you're mistaken, yeah.
Okay, so the thing is, you have to finalize a design.
Correct.
And then it goes out to a competitive bid for construction?
Correct.
Okay, so that could take quite a while.
I mean, the bidding process can only takes a couple weeks, less than a month, we can set that time period for the.
Well, what about the permit process? Is that go somehow involve PennDOT, which is a problem, I guess?
No, this would just be the Conservation District permitting. We're planning on breaking this up into separate permit applications for each location. So that would put the disturbance under an acre, which is kind of which is the limit with the Conservation District. So it's just a erosion and sediment control plan review and approval, which is usually a quick turnaround.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you for the update.
Thank you, Mr. Kandari. Solicitors report, I think we only have one agenda item on here.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. One agenda item, rather, is the zoning hearing board hearing for May 2nd. This is the application of Marcia and Caesar Primus, 65 Harmony Way, for a deck extension. The Planning Commission recommended the board take no action. Does the board wish to take a position on this application? Hearing crickets, we will close our report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General fund balance this evening is $7,463,763. Plan expirations before the board with no action required. This evening we have Chief Forsyth to give his monthly ESD report. Evening, Chief.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
For the month of March 2024, I would like to report that we had responded to 113 calls for service. We completed 40 fire safety inspections in Newtown Township, 5 use and occupancy inspections, 1 fire alarm inspection, and 3 consultations. In Newtown Borough, we completed 27 fire safety inspections, 1 UNO, and no fire alarm. The highlights for March 13th, March 20th, and March 27th, we restarted on our ladder truck training. We're required to do a refresher every year so that the staff is updated on the proper use of the ladder. On October 18th, I conducted an operation officers meeting. This is a meeting that all the line officers are involved in for any changes that we make to our box system or anything that we may have to do fire related. March 6th, we completed the critique on the fatal fire at 404 Mahogany Walk. March 17th, we had a special assignment to assist the police in the Headley development. March 25th was our general membership meeting. And they were the highlights for March of 2024. In the 113 calls for service, we responded to 56 EMS calls, 6 fumes in calls, 1 apartment fire, 25 alarm systems, 5 traffic accidents, 3 CO alarms, 1 building fire, 1 domestic rescue, 2 wires calls. We assisted the squad 2 times. We assisted the PD once. We had 2 investigations. We had 3 brush fires, 1 automobile, 4 dwelling fires, and 1 fuel spill. At the last month's meeting, I reported that we were doing the Sound the Alarm event in Newtown Grant. On April 6th, the career staff and the volunteer staff of the Fire Association, along with the Red Cross, installed 250 smoke detectors in the Ravens View section of Newtown Grant. Since the fire on February 26th, we have installed over 350 smoke detectors in homes in Newtown Township. That, to me, is a huge number. It is amazing to me how many homes in the township that do not have working smoke detectors. If you're watching this tonight, or if the board can get out, we put it on social media. If anyone needs their smoke detectors checked in their homes, please call our office and we will come out and do that for you. We have battery-operated smoke detectors that we will get you through until you can replace your hardwired systems, but it's important that we get out to inspect homes to make sure that we have working smoke detectors. The last thing I have is a special event coming up for the fire department and the police department on May 10th at 3:30 in the afternoon at Newtown Middle School. We are going to, the fire department has called out the police department to play a game of softball. We are trying to raise money for the Bucks County Hero Scholarship Fund. All the proceeds from the sponsors for this game will go to the Bucks County Hero Scholarship Fund. Please come out and support the police and the fire departments. I think it's going to be fun. I finally resigned myself that I'm too old to play softball, so I will be there cheering on the fire department. But really, for you guys, if you want to come out and support the police and fire, I think that'll be a great place to do it. I think the Philly Fanatic's going to be there. It should be a good Friday afternoon event. So May 10th at Newtown Middle School. And you have to root, tonight you have to root for the fire department. I know Chief Herm will be here next month to get you to root for the police department, but it's all in fun, and we're just trying to raise some money for a good cause. So that is my report for March. If I can answer any questions, I'd be more happy to do that.
Okay,
Sorry.
go ahead, please.
I'm just interested in knowing where these brush fires start and how they start.
Well, most of them are next to homes. Yesterday, we had a house fire in Parkview Way. It was a new mulch job, and it was a beautiful, hot, warm, sunny day yesterday. The side of the house caught fire from the spontaneous combustion in the mulch. So most of our brush fires are mulch fires, but we have to record them as brush fires. So that's basically what we're up against now, spring cleanup. We have a lot of people doing mulch, and we're having a lot of mulch fires, so.
I have a question.
What should we do? Let mulch sit out and cool down before we apply it?
That's a very good question. I'm not sure. I'm sure Micah can probably answer that better than I can, but I don't know. I see a lot of people wetting it down when they put it down. It's very warm when it goes down, but,
Yeah.
I mean, if you ride past Sparks out on Rushland Road, you can see those piles of mulch just steaming all the time. And basically, when you see it steaming like that, they're on fire. There's a fire deep in that mulch. We've been on some fire calls up there and in different parts of the county where those mulch fires will burn for days. So, it looks nice, but it is a little bit of a hazard.
Maybe just raking it too.
Yeah.
Raking it could.
I think it has something to do with the thickness too, how thick you put it down.
Yeah.
I don't do that in my house. I have a son that does that when he gets around to it, but, so.
Is there a
Yeah,
question
I
here?
had a question. You will install fire alarms if people call. Do you have a number that you can tell us what that number should be that they should call?
Sure, it's 215-968-2800. The extension to go to the firehouse is 255. Leave us a message. If there's not somebody there to answer the call, we'll certainly get back to you, and we'll make sure that you have working smoke detectors. We tell the people in Newtown Grant and other developments that have hardwired systems, if we come out and inspect them and they don't work, if you get the hardwired system and the detectors, we will come back out and install them for you. We've been to several houses that the people have boxes of hardwired systems and they can't find an electrician to come out to put them up. It's just unplug and plug them back in, and for us to make our homes safe, we're willing to do that, so. It's important. The smoke detectors look good in the ceiling, but if they don't have batteries in them and they don't work, they're useless. So it's important that we have working smoke detectors.
I know my jaw dropped when you said 250, but actually 350.
That weekend, we installed 350. It was 295 in Newtown Grant in this Ravens View section, and that was from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m.
Wow. Very
So-
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman,
please.
I just wanted to publicly thank Chief Forsyth and his department. In one of my other roles as a Senior Vice Commander at American Legion Post 440, we had a member that died of an accidental fire. So we thought it would be a good idea to ask Chief Forsyth about a fire safety demonstration and talk. So he sent our firefighter, Quinn Jones, over and gave us a lot of useful information. A lot of it, we also talked about the smoke detectors. It was very well received by the membership. And we have AED on site, you know, those to shock people.
Right.
That was expired. But probably wouldn't have worked. So that's one of the things we asked them to look at, because we had no idea how they even work. You know, it was bought by the Boy Scouts years ago. And we found out I need new battery, new pads and everything, so I had to go do all that. So probably save some lives there, maybe in the future. So thanks again. I know I sent an email, but I wanted to thank you guys publicly for doing that for us. So thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Anyone else?
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
That concludes our report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, brings us to minutes, bills, list, and reports. That'd be Mr. Mack.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the April 10, 2024 Board of Supervisors minutes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the minutes of April 24th, 2024, say aye.
April 10th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you
April,
say-
April 10th, I did. I was skipping ahead.
Okay.
April 10th.
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor, that was 5-0.
Yeah. Okay.
Next.
Next is approval of that we pay our bills according to the April 24th, 2024 bills list totaling $324,819.52.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of paying our bills as listed on the April 24th, 2024 bills list, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Finally, I move that we approve funds transfers of $342,326.00 as per the April 24, 2024 bills list.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion from the board? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of paying our bills as listed on the interfund transfers for April 24th, 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Mack. That brings us to our second round of public comment. Anyone wishing to give comments, please come to the microphone and tell us where you're from.
John DeApril, Newtown Grant, biggest and the best. I'd like to thank everybody that came out and voted yesterday, whether it was in person or by mail. There wasn't that many contested, but it's, you know, the guys who won, hope they were the ones you wanted. If not, don't complain. You didn't vote, don't complain. We don't want to hear you. You didn't participate. Chief Forsyth, yeah, I live in Ravensview too, where the fire was, and you know, his guys came out, and the representative from Red Cross, and they came over my house, and everything's okay, and they, you know, thanked them, and you know, but they were going all around, not only Ravensview 2, regular Ravensview, they were there too, because Ravensview 2 only has 141 houses. Ravensview is the largest townhouse cluster in Newtown Grant, and they got about 300 and something, I believe. So I'd like to thank the fire guy. And I also belong to the American Legion, and I seen the fire demonstration, and it was, you know, pretty informative. The firemen did a good job. So thank Chief Forsyth for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeApril. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on. Is there any old business this evening? I do have an item for new business, or actually there's an item listed as under new business. And if I may, there's been some discussion and work related to rebuilding or replacing the Washington Crossing Bridge. Unfortunately, it seems that the primarily affected municipality, which is Upper Makefield Township, seems not to have been a partner in those discussions to this point. Newtown Township has been asked to support Upper Makefield Township, and so that Upper Makefield Township can be an active participant in future discussions going forward. I myself wanting to be a good neighbor and seeing that time is of the essence, I would propose that we send a letter of support, and I'm asking this board to ask the township manager to prepare a letter of support. I'm hoping that we could get consensus to direct the manager to do so. It really comes down to if we needed support, I'd like to be able to know that we could count on our neighboring municipalities to give us some support. So with that, I throw it open for comment or discussion.
Would this be something we would have to run through our solicitor or just through the manager? This is just the manager? Then I'm in favor of it. I just wasn't crazy about the idea of paying our professionals to write up a draft up someone official.
Yep.
That's just, symbolic. So, but I'm in favor of the letter from us.
Anyone else?
I'm certainly in favor of supporting Upper Makefield in this. Washington's Crossing is good for all of us, not just Upper Makefield. And it's a place I enjoy a lot, and I would not like to see the nature of the small village affected by change in the infrastructure there. It just seems to me that it would not be a positive change. So I'm in favor of it as well.
Anyone else? Seems like we're building a little consensus.
Well,
Okay.
I would say that it's amazing that the Upper Makefield was not really consulted or involved in the planning for this. It seems like it's already gone out for competitive bidding on a project that is supposed to demolish that old bridge and add a new bridge. Is that correct? Is that the current situation?
I know that it seems like they were somehow left out of the process so far, and I'm not clear about whether this is a replacement or a rebuilding. I think it's a replacement. But
Well, I think I know there's an impact on the traffic and so on, and that's why I think Upper Makefield should be consulted on this and get involved, because it would impact that township. And I'm, in favor of preserving the old bridge, but I also think a new bridge, it might serve a purpose. And maybe the old bridge can just be for pedestrians and cyclists, because I know it's a vantage point when you're watching the fake George Washington cross the Delaware, but in the ceremonies. So I don't know what happens. The letter is written. We will see a draft of the letter, I assume, before.
I'll send a draft of the letter around, and I'll send it to the Upper Mayfield's manager.
Well, do we approve the letter before it gets sent to Upper Makefield?
Typically, no. It'll just be a letter of support of the resolution if they had passed.
you could give us an hour or two to respond if there's anything.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd also like to say there's an open meeting. I think it's in 2 days, where anybody that wants to say their piece on whether they're for, against, or passionate about it can do so. But I'm not sure of the details. But I will share those details if I get them. when I get them.
Okay. Mr. Manager, do you feel like you have some direction? And I thank you. I don't know that we need to have a vote. We have consensus. Okay, any other new business, I guess? We had no need for an executive session this evening.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Seeing none, I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and we are adjourned.